Hello Toastmasters and guests. I want to use my icebreaker today to tell you that you can define who you are, and I'm a good example of how Toastmasters has helped me do that and how I've tried to do that throughout my life. 6 years ago, I gave my first Toastmasters icebreaker in this club. It was at the location at the other side of the White House that this club used to be in, same building as my first job. We had a lot of new people there that I had just met. Andrea from the VA, Patrick, Julie, Rudy. They welcomed me with open arms, and they made me feel supported, appreciated, and made me know that I was being listened to, which was very important. My first speech then, my icebreaker at that time, was about my family. At that time, just starting in my first real job since graduating law school, that was how I defined myself, by my upbringing. I talked about my mom, who was the epitome of the successful career woman and always worked hard to make sure that her kids, me and my sister, had everything that we needed and were living to the full value of our potential. I also spoke about my father, who passed away 2 years prior at that time from Parkinson's disease, but his life was a source of pride for me. He was a World War II veteran. He founded a business that ended up becoming one of the most successful mutual funds in Canada, and he was a cattle rancher. He owned the largest cattle sperm bank in the world. But I thought my father was a source of pride for me because I thought I have that in me, because I have his genes, and I have the power to be as successful as he was. As a recent law graduate, I had joined Toastmasters because when I first started at my law firm, there was a senior lawyer there who was having this retirement party, and they showed a video of him at trial, and he was amazing. He knew everything about how to modulate his voice, how to speak with power, how to show presence when he was speaking. And I asked him, I said, how did you learn how to do that? How do I do that? He said, start with Toastmasters. That's how I did it. And so next month I went and found the closest Toastmasters right in my building and met everyone there, including some faces we see today. The fact that at that time I defined myself so much by my family was in part because of limited life experience that you have when you're first coming out of school. Now, I had tried to redefine myself at times in my life when I was a child. I remember in middle school I was more of the clique, part of the, I don't want to say mean girl crowd, but I wasn't exactly the studious character in middle school. And when high school came around and I was switching to a new school, somehow I made this decision, I'm not sure I want to be that person. I think I want to be a different person. And I just gotten glasses, and I thought, oh, this is a perfect time for me to change who I am. I'm going to be the studious person now. And I ended up finding that that suited me pretty well. I started studying more. I joined every club on campus. I was in robotics club and ham radio club and chess club. And I started doing well in school and felt that I was able to capture a part of my identity that I didn't realize I had before, just by redefining myself, making a choice to redefine myself. Now, when I started working at the law firm, I was very busy, and when you're very busy with work, you often define yourself by your work. I certainly had that experience where I started viewing the entirety of my identity as lawyer at this firm. I realized that there was a lot of conflict with that when I had kids. When I had my first child, it was very difficult to match those identities together, especially when you're very busy at work, to try to say, I'm gonna make time for my family, and I'm going to be the mom that I want to be to my kids. So that involved a little bit of redefinition. Again, I had to redefine who I was. I had to say, I'm not just a lawyer, I'm a lawyer and a mom. And also a lawyer, a mom, and a spouse too, because oftentimes when you start to think of yourself as just your job and your kids, you don't make enough time for your spouse. So trying to redefine myself to include all of those aspects was something I worked very hard at, and I think I've gotten there now. But now I have a choice. How do I continue to redefine myself? Should I continue to redefine myself as simply the experiences that I have as a lawyer, as a mom, as a spouse? Or should I, again, make a choice to redefine who I am as a person internally? To make a similar transition that I did in school from mean girl to nerd, and make a choice about who I want to be as a person. I think as we're living in times that can be very divisive, where there's a lot of horrible things going on in the world with Yemen and the migrant crisis, things like that. You have to make a choice. Do you define yourself only by your own experiences? Or do you start to look externally to yourself? Do you start to think about your own values more? And I think I'd like to make a conscious choice, and we'll try to do so. I think over the course of the next year is a nice time to try to think about making a conscious decision of redefining myself. And to think about how I can incorporate my values more into how I define myself and how I behave in the world. To not limit that only to my job and my family. So my lesson for those here is that you can redefine yourself, that you don't have to define yourself only by your own experiences in your own world, and that you can be who you choose to be. Thank you.
So did you have a second child?
I did.
You sound like, so you have two children.
Yeah.
And they're what?